Ron, where are you?
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Kalan from White Glove Models, and welcome back to another Out of the Box Wednesdays. That's right, we are still working on the Revell Fw190F8, and it is in 1/32 scale. Been a fun build so far. We actually got a lot done in the last episode and managed to get quite a bit of the sub-assemblies done. In fact, pretty much all of them. The only ones I didn't get to were the wings and then the rear flaps, so we will be getting to those this week. Now, I basically am going to get straight to the build, so let's head over to the workbench, kick on that high speed, and see where we're at.
"24 hours later."
So you might recall in the last video I did mention that as I was gluing these together, it was a mistake I would come to regret later. Here's what happened. I get these glued together, and as soon as I take them out of the clamps, I immediately realize I didn't do a test fit. So as you can see, according to the destruction manual here, they want you to put your struts together and everything is built so that it is in a landed mode. Well, there's no option for flight mode, but the interesting thing is the aircraft comes with flaps, so you can have the flaps down or in any position that you would like, or you can have them completely closed and up. Well, I was thinking about this and I was like, I don't necessarily know that I like the thought of having this as a landed aircraft, especially since I was thinking about having it suspended from the ceiling in the hobby room, and then it would be kind of a bit more fun, you know, for me to look at than having it landed on a shelf, because this is a huge, as you can see, a huge airplane once it's going to be finished. So what I did after getting everything glued together and showing you guys that, I went and I put some parts together here. So we put the wheel in there, and let's see if I can grab the right one. And then you go ahead and you slide this in here. So the wheel strut attaches to the wheel. Maybe. Come on, get in there. I'm going to break it. We don't want that. So then you go to put your wheel cover on, and check this out. Nothing closes. And that looks terrible. So I was thinking, okay, well, the only way to make this work and to have the wheel showing is if you only use this half of the wheel. So I should never have glued these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up cutting this off, cutting this half of the wheel off, and discarding it, and trying to keep this half of the wheel as clean as possible. And then you'll have the wheel in there. We won't be using the struts because the struts will take up too much room. And then go ahead and put the wheel cover on. So as you can see, with the wheel hole with both parts, you still can't close that all the way. So with just half of the wheel, you should be able to close this up, and then you'll still see the wheel here and tire, and then this will seal up just right enough to, you know, make it look right for when it's in flight mode. So basically, long story short, that is what I'm doing. That was the mistake I made. I should have test fit everything beforehand, but I didn't. So we're gonna go ahead and cut these in half at some point here during this this episode. And you guys just got done seeing the cockpit as well as the console here being painted, or these were clear coated. Then I'll put a wash on these. Probably gonna let these sit for 24 hours to cure before I do that. I did weather this up a little bit because I wanted it to look used, and I'm gonna I may have over weathered it a little bit, but it's going to be inside a canopy, and since it's going to be in flight mode, the canopy will be closed. The only problem is now if it's in flight mode, well, Kalan, you're not using the pilot. I actually am putting the pilot together, so I may use him just because. So it's not going to be accurate because he won't have a seatbelt on, but we might be able to fudge this whole build out of the box thing a little bit and maybe put him in there. I don't know if I'm pushing that a little bit, but anyways, long story short, these are curing. Then we'll put a wash on them, and then I will go ahead and put a flat coat on all of this, and then clear coat any spots that need clear here on the console. And right now, what we will be doing, because this is probably my actual most favorite part of the entire build process, as most of you know, is I'm going to be filing, getting out my favorite jeweler's files and some sandpaper, and we're going to be cleaning up these parts here. The engine has a lot of work that needs to be cleaned up on it, and also the gun mounts here that go in the front, and I might be filling a few areas here, but honestly, I don't know what all you're going to see. I think all you're really going to see is this here. So I have some more test fitting to do, but it looks like the cover that goes over it, all you're going to see is just the barrels. So we'll see. I'm gonna start piecing things together as we go along. The engine, not going to do any too many modifications to it or anything like that, because again, you're not going to see it. The one thing I really should have done also while I had the engine in pieces was added all of the weight internally to the engine. So instead, I'm going to have to find a place inside the cowling here and in between the engine to add some of that weight in the little BBs that I add. I usually add copper BBs to add my weight, and I can easily hide those down inside here with the engine in place, hopefully. And hopefully I won't need much, because this engine actually weighs a little bit and adds some weight to the front of the aircraft, but it's not a lot. So what I wish I had done before gluing everything together was adding some BBs in maybe each of these cylinders and a few other areas, just to give it that much more weight to keep the nose from flopping up in the air, because I don't know if this is a tail dragger or not. Hopefully it's not too bad of a tail dragger, and just the little bit of weight that I can fit inside the inside between the engine here, because the engine's going to be covered because it will be in flight mode. So that being said, there really isn't a whole lot to do cleanup wise. I'll just do as much cleanup as I feel is necessary for the engine as well as for the guns here. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to put the cowling, if I'm going to permanently mount the cowling and then the gun cover, but we'll see how things go once we start putting everything together. So we'll see how that fit and finish goes. And right now everything's moving along great. So I'm going to head over and hit that high speed, and we'll do a little bit of sanding and all that and cleaning up these parts. And hopefully by the end of the day, I should have everything put together and ready for primer at least. Did you see the size of that gap? I mean, even for a Revell kit, that is insane. What? I mean, really, guys? Come on. Well, guys, I mean, got a lot done. I mean, not as much as I was expecting to, but we did manage to get quite a bit done this week. So this is where we're going to end it. Pretty happy with everything. There have been a few hiccups along the way, and as you saw, that gap in the wings, that is going to drive me nuts. My OCD is freaking out about that. But you know what? We're just gonna take it as it comes and see what happens and go from there. Not a big deal to, you know, really fill that in. So, you know, we'll come to that next week. Hopefully next week, or whenever the part 4 comes out, the next video, we will be putting the rest of the plane together, getting everything primed and painted on the fuselage, and then start our paint process on all of that. There will be some work going into making sure that all those gaps are filled and all that, but I do have a plan already in the back of my mind for that. So thanks again for joining me this week. You guys have been awesome, and I've been having a ton of fun with this build. I hope you have too. And thanks for joining me on this adventure with me on Out of the Box Wednesdays. So take care, have an amazing week, go out, build something, have some fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Today's video is sponsored by Bigfoot. I'm going to spend 4 hours doing a live stream of me just staring at the computer and talking to you guys like this. It will be epic. Or is he more of a Littlefoot? Could you imagine? This is actually how I should do my live streams. Just instead of looking at you and talking to you, I just stand here and talk to the air. This is actually, I see a lot of live streams like this. Not too bad. This is my best view. Get my beautiful face. Yes, that's right. Also by Chicken of the Sea,